Alright everybody, my name is Jared and I would like to welcome you back to Project Ruby, my 3rd gen Toyota 4runner project. Today I'm really excited because my new Coastal Offroad plate bumper has arrived, and so my little boy and I are out here today filming and welding and tearing stuff apart in hopes of finishing our project this weekend for Project Ruby. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit down, read the directions on how to properly weld together this bumper kit. Then we're gonna lay everything out, show you how everything lays out. We've already got the front bumper removed. Didn't really think it was necessary to show you that. So we're gonna just kind of take this by a step-by-step basis, beginning to end, all the way through paint, wiring up the fog lights, etc. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment and like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Alright guys, so we just got everything laid out, all the parts for the Coastal Offroad bumper, and got them all kind of matched up for their duplicate parts, etc. Try to be organized, right? So the next step is we're going to sit down, we're going to read the instructions from cover to cover and make sure that we have a clear understanding of our path moving forward. That way we understand what's happening first step all the way to the last step, and we can develop a plan and strategy as per the manufacturer's recommendations. So we won't bore you with that. We're going to read the instructions and then we're going to get to work. Alright, so the first step is we actually got to remove these thin plates off the front of the frame rails and get it all flushed up and cleaned up. Alright, so I switched to a grinding wheel. Now that I've got this cut off, gotta get it all flush, and then we'll start the actual build of the bumper. Alright, so I finally got everything ground up after cutting the flanges off the front of the frame here. I'm not going to paint them right now. When I pull the bumper off to weld it up, I'll go ahead and repaint this bare metal. So step number 1 is starting from the bottom, and it goes right down here. It uses the 2 existing bolt holes for the tow hooks to get mounted. Then we actually have to drill a hole in through the bottom to hook up the top plate. So that's where we're at right now. I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so we're going to use the factory bolts from the tow hooks. The shorter ones will be on the driver's side. The longer bolts with the factory tow hook has to be installed on the passenger. So alright, so we've got the first piece, number 1, bolted to the bottom using the 2 factory tow hook bolts on both sides. So it's pretty stout. So this next piece has a notch right here. It sits on top of the frame rails, and that notch goes around this AC condenser line, just like that. And there's a couple holes right on top of the frame that it lines up with. And what we're going to be doing is drilling a hole through the bottom of the frame and this bottom piece, and then running a new bolt through the frame, welding a nut to the top of number 2. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and drill up through the bottom of the frame using the number 2 piece as a template. Okay, so we've got the new holes drilled in the frames. So we've got our new 1/2 inch by 13 thread, 4.5 inch long grade A bolt. It'll go up here. Put our new nut on. If I can feel it. All right, so now with that tightened up just a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and weld the nut to the top of this piece. Because once it's all put together, you're not gonna actually be able to get in here and tighten it, so you have to weld it in place. All right, so we've got the piece 1 and 2, and I've just welded in the nuts and drilled the holes for the new bolts. So piece 3 is the one that's got a square hole and some holes in it, so that you could do the end cap mod if you so chose. I'm not gonna do it. So this sits right on the first piece and like a shelf. So what I've done is I've added a jack with a little piece of wood, because you get a little bit of a sway right here, and I want to keep it nice and tight. So we're gonna go ahead and get this set up here and use my magnets to get her square. You're gonna want this piece to be flush with the top of piece 2. And that's how you'll know everything's good to go. All right, so you can see there's a gap right here in the front. So I'm just gonna use the floor jack and very gently close the gap. Alright guys, so the next part is the D-ring holes and plates. So this is number 4, this large piece, and number 5 is this little duck head looking piece. So they're clamped together. I need to run a bead, grind it smooth, and then these actually just weld right up on the side, and we'll show you that next step. Alright, so now that we got the small number 5 and the number 4 bracket tacked together and put in place, we're gonna go ahead and tack it to number 3, number 1, and move on to the other side. All right, so now we're moving on to the winch plate. This is number 6 in the kit. It's really important to make sure that the corners that are cut out and the drain holes go towards the front of the vehicle. All right, so this next piece, guys, is the front finishing piece. It's the one that's got the holes in it for your license plate, and also the these nice grooves that are cut into it. So this goes right in the front here, next to your sandwiched number 4 and 5 tow hook mounts. And this kind of finishes off the whole front end, the middle section, the front end of the bumper. So before I install this, I'm gonna do a couple of things. The first thing is, I'm gonna get in here and pre-weld all the stuff that I can't reach with this plate on, clean it up, put some weldable primer on behind this, and on the back side of this plate before I weld it all together. That adds just a little extra work right out of the gate, but in the end the product will be worth it. So that's what I'm going to choose to do. So we're going to go get after it. Alright, so you may notice that I skipped a step, and I did that intentionally, like I said, to paint this area and let the weldable primer dry. So, the current step we're on is the fair lead piece with the cutouts for the lights. It's pretty simple. We're just going to tack it to these two uprights from piece number fours, and then that'll tie the front end, and then we'll actually start on working on the sides. So that's what I'm going to do, is just go ahead and just tack this in real fast, and then we'll be moving on. Alright, so now we're going to start making some progress, because we got to start moving on the driver's side top here. This is part number 8. You can tell the difference between this one and 16, because 16 has a notch right here that is really clearly identified. I'll show you moving forward. So these are going to sit right up here on top of 4 and number 7, which is the winch fair lead and light plate. And so you just line them up here, and then you have to be really careful to watch your body lines. Manufacturer's recommendations is a 1/2 inch of clearance. So we're gonna get this set up. Okay, so we've got number 8 tacked in here, and now we're number 9. This has got the hole in it for your LED blinkers. So we're just gonna use some magnets to get it set into place, and provide a couple extra fingers, get everything square, and we'll tack it in. The next plate is number 10, which is this front core on the driver's side. These pieces are the same for both passenger and driver, but because I want to be really sharp with the lines of this bumper and keep everything square, what I went ahead and did is I just took my grinder and threw a bevel on both these sides here, so I can fit this in a little bit cleaner and keep the lines really sharp. So I don't know that it was actually, absolutely necessary, but it was just something that I chose to do to make it just that much better of a product. So piece number 11, I went ahead and did the same thing and ground the previous piece down so they can mate up a little bit better. So did that, we'll tack her in. Okay, now we're on to number 12. The front's really coming together. So we've got 8, 9, 10, 11. Here's 12. So we're just kind of playing with it right now to get the correct lie on what it's going to be looking like, and so I think that's it right there. So we're going to tack this bad boy in, keep on moving, and it's really starting to come together really good. So pretty happy. All right, so I'm just fitting in piece number 13 here to finish up the bottom part of the wing. I think I've got the magnets all in a good spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and tack her in. All right, so this is the final piece on the bottom for the driver's side wing. This is number 14. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the magnets, get it stuck up in place here. Make sure it all fits good. And it does. No surprise. Alright guys, this is the final plate for the driver's side wing. This is number 15. And all it is just an end cap. It orientates just like this. It goes right here to the back. So I'm just going to hold it, tack it in, and we'll zip it all up when we pull the bumper off. So moving on to the passenger side, and as I was telling you before, the top plate on the passenger side has a notch cut out of it, and there's a black canister right here behind the grill here that it's made to cut out for. So that's why it's important to keep this side for the passenger. But we'll do a little test fit here. Everything looks great. And so the nice thing about this kit is it's just got so much engineering in it. And so there's the front corner, this corner right here, you can see on the top plate, lines up perfectly with the corner of your side number 4 piece and then your front fairly light piece. So all you gotta do is line those up and you're good to go. You know, make sure you check your gaps on your body line so you can add a little bit of a 1/2 inch. But this particular case, guys, it's absolutely perfect, as it should be, just by lining it up. So no worries for me, just like the other side. So I'll go ahead and get this tacked up. All right, so just like on the other side, this piece is for the your blinkers. That's great. You know, I think this is a great time to point out that no matter how good a kit is, getting everything square is a challenge sometimes. This has been really easy for me, but just like putting together a puzzle piece, right? But something that I found has been very helpful with some of these side pieces is if you bevel the edges for both sides of the metal that meet together to create that joint, it just fits together that much more clean. So I would encourage you to take that time and bevel those edges, make everything fit right prior to tacking in. Your end product is just going to be so much better. This product from Coastal Offroad is already, I mean, badass, but just a little refinement, because I'm not a professional welder, I'm not a professional fabricator. I'm just a guy in the garage with his 4runner that wants a nice bumper. So taking my time and being a little strategic in planning just makes that product that much better. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. All right, so I've got got both pieces beveled here. You can just see that it just fits perfect. So time to burn it. So I'm just going to keep plugging away here. So part of the fun is getting this all to fit together how you want it and matching it up perfectly with the other side. So don't get frustrated, take your time, and it'll be a really nice product. So just like on the other side, I'm gonna put this piece here flush up against number 4. That's what seemed to get the best fit on the other side, so I'm gonna straight over to this side. That's it. So for this bottom piece here, number 13, same piece on both sides, I have found that lying down and kind of get underneath it works the best. So this is how it's going to fit in there. The wider edge goes towards the center. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down. Get the magnets ready. Tack it because I can hold it. Yeah, that worked out pretty good, so I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in a few more places here. So this is the piece number 14 here. This is the final piece. It goes on the bottom here. So we'll get that fitted here. Yeah, just like that, guys. Great. Let me go ahead and tack her in. All right, guys, pretty exciting. This is the final piece, right? Just gonna wrap everything together with the main part of the bumper. Then I gotta do the front hoop, pull it off, and then do all the supports from the inside. So, as well as that front center section that I'm waiting for the paint to dry. Anyways, pretty cool, I'm pretty pumped. That one got me. All right, so I'm to the point now where I'm gonna go ahead and position my hoop. And I think I've got it square. I've measured it out. Got a few magnets in place to help me hold it. I think it looks pretty sweet. So I'm gonna go ahead and tack it in. And then, like I said, I've got this one final piece to do. I was just waiting for everything to dry, and then I'm ready to final weld, clean, prep, paint. So anyways, let's burn this bad boy in. So we're on the last piece. I'd say for last, number 19. I went ahead and primed with some weld through primer on one side. I finished welded right here, and now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put this piece up, tack it in, pull the whole bumper off, weld it solid, clean it up, and paint it. So I'm pretty excited right now. This is the last piece. Guys, just like that. Just like that, guys, my Coastal Offroad bumper has been completely tacked together, built. Man, I'm giddy. So now what I'm gonna do is just clean the shop up a little bit. I'll pull this bumper off, and then we'll finish weld and get to grinding. So I could not be happier. And if you're on the fence, let me tell you, I am not an expert. I'm just a guy with a passion. So if I can do it, so can you. Pretty awesome. All right, so I've got everything tack welded from the exterior of the Coastal Offroad bumper for my 3rd gen 4runner Project Ruby. I went ahead and put a couple pallets together to give me a pretty decently high working surface so that I can do the supports on the back side of the bumper with weld them in, as well as be able to flip it over and get really good consistent welding to finish weld, and then also to grind and prep for paint. So I've just unbolted it, and I'm gonna go see if I can't yank her off and put it on these wooden pallets. Alright, so we've got four plates left. This larger one and the skinnier one, okay? So the skinny ones, as per the diagram, go directly below the winch mounting plate on the outside of the holes, just a little bit, so you make sure you can reach in and weld, or excuse me, you don't want them right in line with that, so you can put a nut on there for your winch. So I'm gonna put them about 1 inch outside of those holes, and then the fatter ones down here I'm actually going to put directly in line with those holes to try to build some stability. So I'm going to go ahead and get them tacked in. Alright guys, so I'm to a really cool place. Everything's tacked in. Now it's time to start finish welding. So I'm just going to start laying down weld, and then I'll get it all cleaned up, painted, and put back on the 4runner. So. Guys, well here it is. Here's the fully welded Coastal Offroad bumper for my 3rd gen Toyota 4runner Project Ruby. I've got everything welded up, and now it's time to start grinding and cleaning everything up. So I'm going to lay this back down how I had it, get all the front nice and sexy, get everything, all the welds grinded down, come back with a flapper wheel, really clean everything off, get some of the slag and the spatter that is notorious from using flux core welding or wire. Get everything cleaned up, and I will be able to get painting today. So not too bad. A couple hours yesterday, had to quit and go to baseball with my little boy and a birthday party, and I'm about 3.5 hours in today. So not really bad. It's been really good. So I'm gonna move forward and get to grinding. All right, so the last thing I'm gonna do as far as cleaning up the bumper is I'm gonna take a stiff bristled wire brush on a drill, and I'm gonna get back into these cracks and stuff, primarily underneath or on the back side of the bumper, where I couldn't get the grinding wheels and stuff. So I'm gonna do that. That way I can ensure that I get really good adhesion with the primer and the paint for this side of the bumper, and then also get up in some of these nooks and crannies that I couldn't get to, just to ensure that I really get good adhesion with the paint primer. Alright, so all the grinding, all the cleaning of the wire wheel is complete. I've got a bottle of alcohol and a clean towel. So I'm just going to wipe this down real good and try to get it really clean before I primer. That extra step now is going to pay off big time in the future when I go to paint here. So give me a lot better product. Don't want to cut corners now. You'll notice that I went ahead and put on some rubber gloves, and for those of you who may not know, the purpose behind that is just to make sure that you don't put or introduce any finger grease or grease from your fingers to the metal, just to increase the capabilities and adhesion of the paint and primer. So anyways, soak this thing real good. Just get it get everything wiped down, all the cracks and corners, and it'll definitely turn out to be a much better product. All right, guys, the time has come. I'm going to go ahead and do the first coat of the primer for the back of the bumper. It's all been cleaned with rubbing alcohol. It's clean. So one light coat, and I'm going to flip it and start on the other side, and then just do it light coats over stages, probably 3 to 4 coats of primer before I get to paint. So. Just like cutting in your house, just looking at the corners primarily. Alright guys, I've got my bumper finished. I wasn't really happy with the way that the enamel paint had come out with the bumper, so I went ahead and sanded it all down, reprimed it, and then I hit it with some duplicolor truck bed coating, and I definitely like the finish much better. Definitely feels to be a lot tougher. Is it the best? I don't know. But I think it'll be easy to touch up if I need to in the future. So now I get to start working on installing the fog lights and the LED blinkers. So I'm pretty happy with how it's come together, and man, I cannot recommend highly enough to take a project like this on. It's not difficult, it takes a little bit of time, and I believe that anybody with a little patience can weld up their own bumper. So we're gonna move forward with that, and I'll show you how that's gonna look. So hopefully you can kind of start to get an idea of what the fog lights will look like mounted up. I'll be honest, these are just really cheap Amazon lights. That's what I can afford at the moment, so I'll give them a run, and I would imagine I'll upgrade in the very near future. But the nice thing about this bumper is it's got a couple of tabs, or not tabs, but grooves that are cut out in the winch plate that line up with these fog lights, so it makes it super easy to mount. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these mounted, and then move on to the blinkers. All right, there we go. Looking pretty good, right? All right, guys. So the next step is to install the LED blinkers that go into these holes here. This is the Grote 9410. I ordered these off Amazon. They're about 10 bucks a piece. So a little tip: just use a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, to kind of push the ring in here behind the metal. That helped. I also read online that you can put these in some hot water, makes them a little bit more pliable. So the blinker itself, like I said, has a top labeled, and then you just push it into place, just like that. Good to go. Do the other side, and I'm ready to mount the bumper. All right, so I've got my bumper mounted, and I went ahead and just threaded in the bolts, and then checked all the gaps and everything before I tightened them up. So now I just need to go tighten this 3 bolts on either side of the frame, and my Coastal Offroad bumper is complete. Then I'll move on to wiring the blinkers and then the fog lights into a factory switch. Next step is wiring the LED fog lights. So I've got some heat shrink tubing on here. I went ahead and just twist the wires together. I'm going to go ahead and solder them into place here. But for this particular blinker, I found that the yellow wire with the green stripe is your power, and white with black is ground. So just wire them up, and I'll be ready to hit the road with